why young rapper NBA YoungBoy was arrested in Utah yesterday. According to newly released documents, he was arrested for his alleged involvement in a large-scale prescription fraud ring in Cache County.
Baton Rouge's NBA YoungBoy, real name Kentrell DeSean, is in some major legal trouble once again. I
love you.
All while on house arrest in Utah.
No, I don't wake up in no cell.
For a slew of federal weapons charges here in Louisiana. Gaulden is accused of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's facing 62 counts of forgery and identity theft.
NBA YoungBoy back in hot water again. NBA YoungBoy then got arrested again in Utah. As you may know, I'm going to give you some details and some context. NBA YoungBoy is currently on house arrest in Utah for gun charges that transpired in Louisiana. So we got an update today. So a couple things that have happened. I'm going to give you some background as to what he was arrested for. What they're saying is that NBA YoungBoy is responsible for running a narcotics drug ring for prescription drugs in Utah. He was arrested on 63 counts. We're going to play some video to give you details about those 63 counts. And some updates came out today where there was a hearing in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where the judge revoked his house arrest. So this is very bad news for NBA YoungBoy. Whatever transpires with these 63 charges in Utah, he now again has to face the charges that he was originally facing in Baton Rouge. Now, Baton Rouge has revoked his house arrest, and with that, we can intimate that Baton Rouge probably will go forward with seeking jail time for violating that house arrest. So he will not only have time and time to serve for the Baton Rouge, Louisiana arresting case, but now facing charges, arrest and time for the 62 charges in Utah. Let's go to the video. Let me get you some details about what took place in Utah. Then we're going to get you some details about the update about what took place in Baton Rouge today and the judge revoking NBA's Utah house arrest. Let's go to the video now. Again, my name is Perfect at the Perfect Time Podcast. And right now, we're talking about NBA YoungBoy and the fact that he was arrested in Utah on 62 charges of prescription drug fraud. Before we go to the video, I'll bring the video up. What I want to say is, I've been telling you about, we talked earlier about Glorilla and the way she was handled by the white police officer. Now we have a young man who's already been extremely vocal about his depression. And we know the story of his life. He's much like the guy that Joe Biden talked about, where I don't care if the system failed him. I don't care if the country failed him. We just want to get rid of him. YoungBoy was failed by the system, failed by this country, failed by his parents. And ever since he's come to prominence, all we wanted to do is get rid of him so America doesn't have to look at his failure. And now here it is. In the Midwest, we hear a lot about opiate addiction. And Congress people, when they talk about the Midwest and opiate addiction and white people addicted to prescription drugs, white people are stealing catalytic converters, car theft going up. I told you about car theft at 45,000 cars in one city in 1 year. Car theft up 300%, all driven by white people's addiction to prescription drugs. When it's talked about, it said white people in the Midwest need help. We need treatment plans. But when NBA YoungBoy, who has been known for having depression, psychological issues, and who's a very young man, has a prescription drug addiction that the FBI knows about. They knows he's depressed. He's taking picture with these drugs. He doesn't get help. You don't help NBA YoungBoy. You charge him with 63 charges and turn him into a drug kingpin when he's actually a depressed child and an addict. He doesn't get the same love as the Midwest whites. For some reason, every Negro in America is a kingpin Rico, but we broke as could be. We broke and we have no power, but every Negro that the white people arrest is a kingpin. He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. He won't get the help he needed when he first came out at 16 years old. He needed intense therapy. He's never gotten that therapy. Dirk has never gotten that therapy. Chief Keef has never gotten that therapy. Soldier Boy has never gotten that therapy. We just look at them and we watch them. We wait for them to crash. Let's go to the video.
I mean, let me give everybody an idea here. Pattern of unlawful activity, that charge, it consists of engaging in conduct which constitutes the commission of at least 3 episodes of unlawful activity, which episodes are not isolated but have the same or similar purposes, results, participants, victims, or methods of commission, or otherwise interrelated by distinguishing characteristics. They talked about this as an ongoing major fraudulent scheme. Does this consistent with the image, the persona that he's put forward?
I would say no. So I think that when I looked at the charges, and how about this? Yesterday I spoke with his attorney, and some things that we talked about basically were procedurally what he's been facing, and he just basically told me how he's kind of been railroaded. And when I went back to look at the charges, these are just, I think, run-of-the-mill charges that I would see every day, and they'd be related to smaller things like guns, incidents when he'd be with other people. And basically how it goes is when you're with a lot of people, and let's say there's some drugs in the area, or there
Afi,
are
are you
Yeah, go
talking
ahead.
are you talking about the new charges he's facing, or are you talking about the old charges, the firearms charges?
Everything.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
starting with the old, and I was going to
Okay.
the new charges.
Okay.
Because
Just want to be clear. Yeah.
yeah, but if you want me to stick to the new charges, I don't know very much about.
This is the problem. This is the problem. They want to throw away young black men, ADOS Negro men. This is the problem. We are dispensable. We can't have a holistic approach when dealing with a young black man. He cannot be humanized. He had to stop her from her disagreeing with the narrative. He said, does this agree with what he's presented? She said, no. And then she started to go in on a holistic approach and humanize this young man, and he stopped her because he doesn't want to humanize NBA YoungBoy. He wants to throw him away. Back to the video. Oh, I'm hyper today, boy. I'm hyper today.
About the new charges. But what I do know is, just looking at his history and being in Utah and being in isolation, I think he's talked a lot about his mental health. And I think he's talked about, a possible addiction. So I don't necessarily look at this as from a criminal point or aspect. I think that, this country over the last 12 years, we've looked at people who have addictions with a lot of sympathy, and we've looked at them as people who need help and not to be criminalized. So I think that.
Thank you. Get her sister props. She says she's from Baton Rouge. She lives in Los Angeles. Gorgeous, beautiful sister, and she's married. Let's give her props. And she agreed with Perfect Timing Podcast. That means she got a high level of intelligence. Because before I played this video, y'all rewinded. What did I say? I said, in the Midwest, we have been treating white people addicted to opioids with sympathy and saying they need help and treatment. NBA YoungBoy, who you know is depressed, mental health issues from this illegal house arrest, has said over and over, posted pictures online of his addiction to pharmaceuticals. He needs help. He needs treatment. Shout out to this sister, man. Back to the video.
That's the approach and the lens that I'm looking at it with right now.
But these are serious charges, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're serious charges. Everything sounds serious when it's written down and before you've had an opportunity to refute it or defend yourself. So,
Right.
the first thing I heard you mentioned earlier, he's supposedly leading a violent gang. How do you do that from Utah? How do you lead a violent gang in Baton Rouge from Utah? That just seems fantastical and like a super impossibility.
Well, their argument would be, we've just charged him with operating this kind of prescription fraud scheme, and if he's able to do it under house arrest, who knows what he might be able to do from the confines of a home. That's their argument. That would be the prosecutor's argument, I would imagine.
Fantastic.
Is it a prescription fraud scheme, or is it an attempt by someone who has a mental health issue to acquire something to help him self-medicate.
And let's talk about that, because it really, I think, comes back to the house arrest. And let's talk about the house arrest. So he actually agreed to this house arrest in Utah, where he's under the constant surveillance of this security team.
So, hold on. He's just jumping over. This is what I mean about the non-humanizing of this black male child. He's a young black male child, came to prominence at 16. She said several times, mental health. And we're not talking about narcotics. We're not talking about cocaine. We're not talking about even marijuana. We're talking about specifically pharmaceutical drugs. And what an addict will do when his prescription has run out to acquire his medication. He's not selling the medication. He's medicating himself, trying to heal his mental health and depression. For them to argue that he's running some type of drug ring, you would have to bring forth evidence, not that he just acquired the drugs for his own use, that he somehow had intentions on selling the drugs for profit when he owns a mountain in Utah. He owns a mountain. He's worth over $15 million. He's not seeking to profit. He's seeking to medicate himself because he's depressed, and he is not dealing with the facts on the ground, that this is a child. They hear hip hop, they hear gangbanging, and they want to just throw you away because this white boy is shivering in his fucking boots. But this is a black child who you can't relate to because black people are not human and un-Americanized in this new system. But if this was a white boy, i.e. Kyle Rittenhouse, dealing with divorce and emotional, he would be allowed to kill 2 human beings and go the fuck home. Back to the video.
But it reportedly hasn't been that great for him. The reason I say that is he apparently posted on his cat, whose name is Neon, his cat Neon's Instagram page back in July of 2023. It said, quote, "It's me, Neon. I've been seeing a lot of my dad so unhealthy. It's scary, even his mental. He blows his money, making people smile who don't care to see the signs that's literally in their face. 20 Xanax a day. Please, #help. His lawyer then filed papers suggesting that YoungBoy had been suffering from anxiety, depression, weight and sleep loss. A federal judge ended up loosening some of those restrictions on his house arrest, allowing him to get mental health treatment, but wouldn't allow him to spend more time at the recording studio, even though his team had argued that this is significantly hurting his career and sales of his music. But then 2 months ago, prosecutors accused him of violating the terms of his house arrest, specifically the prohibition on using or unlawfully possessing a narcotic drug or other controlled substance. So that's kind of a basic framework of what we're talking about with his house arrest. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, you just read the message from Neon, the cat, who said his dad needs
Do you
help.
think it was the cat? Do you think it was the cat that wrote it? Because I have my suspicions, but if you think it was the cat, you think it's the cat.
I mean,
I'm not laughing. I don't think it's funny when someone cries out for help when they have a mental health issue and addicted to pharmaceutical drugs. And I don't think he would be laughing if this was a white girl, if this was Hannah Montana, if this was Britney Spears. I don't think he would be laughing. I don't think Hannah Montana would be in Malibu because she's been charged with the same shit before. Hannah Montana would be in Malibu. Britney Spears would be in Malibu. You know, these people are addicted to prescription drugs and they've lied and stolen to get their prescription drugs, but they've never been charged because they're seen as addicts. Where's Britney Spears getting the dope from? She's never been charged with the crime. She illegally obtains drugs. She's addicted to drugs, as we know from video. Where does she get the drugs? No one's ever been charged in association with any white female and their drug abuse. The drug dealer or the drug user. And he's laughing at this young child who's suffered this Negro American existence, and he's dealing with anguish, and we won't do reparations. We won't talk about why young black boys have mental health and depression. We won't do reparations. We haven't dealt with this since 1993 in the crime bill. When the current president said, I don't care how he got that way. I don't care if the country failed him. I don't care if his parents failed him. We want to get rid of him until today in 2024. They're saying this. I hear the echoes again. Back to the video.
Well, you told me it was the cat. So
I did say it was the cat's Instagram.
And the cat said,
yeah.
The cat said his dad needs help. You know,
Yeah,
the cat said his dad's on 20 Xanax a day.
I have some questions for that cat, but yes.
What does the cat know? But also, he's not able to go to the studio like he wants to. You know, Jesse, you're a creative. I'm a creative. You know, creatives need an outlet. They need stimulation. If you're on house arrest, you're in a gilded cage. You don't have a regimen. You don't have regular interaction. You don't have a creative outlet. I think he's been crying out for a long time that he's been depressed and he needs help, and he doesn't have the tools or the capacity to handle that.
Well, let's also talk about this from a legal point of view. He just was hit with all of these charges, or he's about to be formally indicted on these charges. I imagine house arrest is now going to be out of the question. Would I be crazy to think that?
No, I think, again, his attorney, James Manasseh, is fantastic. He's got a rich history. I've known him for a while. He's argued before the United States Supreme Court, and I think he's on his way out there to figure out what's going on. And I think that house arrest is definitely not out of the question. I think that
you think he's going to get house arrest after now being hit with all these charges? How is that possible?
I think it's not out of the question. And again, he's got a fantastic legal team. So, anything is possible. And again,
but one of the main conditions of a house arrest is don't commit crimes while you're on house arrest, or don't be, charged or arrested while you're on house arrest. I mean, that's a problem, I would imagine. It has his attorney said, and on convicted felons carrying guns, that has been in place. That has been utilized dozens and dozens of times. In fact, since that 2022 Supreme Court decision, and then a majority of courts across the country have enforced this prohibition. So you tell me what we can expect from the Supreme Court there, and whether or not it's going to have an effect on YoungBoy's federal charges.
I'm just glad that the Supreme Court has taken this up and is looking into it, because a lot of times I would have, I remember I had, an elderly man. He had a felony conviction, something he pled guilty to, I thought was pretty minor, but a lot of times people take felony pleas to avoid prison time. And he couldn't possess a gun. And a lot of times, especially in Louisiana, it's a hunting and fishing state. So just, the opportunity to not even be able to hunt like you usually would, because you're a felon in possession of felon in possession of the gun. So I'm glad it's an issue. Also, a lot of these felonies are non-violent felonies. So I don't understand how you can remove the right to possess a gun from somebody just because they are convicted of a felony. But we're going to just only address the issue with domestic violence, which is a crime of violence. It's in the name. So
NBA YoungBoy's house arrest. Let's go to the tape right now.
Meantime, an arrest warrant issued for Baton Rouge rapper NBA YoungBoy after another arrest in Utah this week. A judge here responded by revoking his house arrest. He's accused of running a fraudulent prescription drug ring. News 2's Bess Casserly with the interesting way he was busted.
Well, Sylvia, the rapper may be good at making music, but according to police, he has no future in acting, as a bad impersonation is part of what got him caught. Baton Rouge's NBA YoungBoy, real name Kentrell DeSean Gaulden, is in some major legal trouble once again.
Love you.
All while on house arrest in Utah.
I don't wake up in no cell.
For a slew of federal weapons charges here in Louisiana.
Ma, I can smoke a cigarette here?
According to this 10-page affidavit filed by officials in Cache County, Utah, Gaulden is accused of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's facing 62 counts of forgery and identity theft. And today, here in federal court, a motion was filed to revoke his pretrial release and force him to come back to Baton Rouge.
I just want to be better than yesterday.
Judge Shelley Dick signed that motion and issued a warrant for his arrest this afternoon.
Once all this behind me, move the year for some.
The investigation into Gaulden began in January of this year. after pharmacists alerted police to suspicious prescriptions being called in under real doctors' names for fake patients. Around that same time, the 24-year-old appeared on a podcast where he discussed the pressures of being under house arrest.
That's just got to be stressful. Because at all times, you're kind of under a microscope.
It kind of make you do right.
It forces you to maybe not make certain decisions you would have made. Do you think it works?
Yeah.
All the while, Utah police allege he was scamming pharmacists to get prescription cough syrup. Police were able to nab Gaulden and his friends for the scheme when they called the alleged 71-year-old woman who the prescriptions were supposed to be for. To the officer, it was obvious a young male was trying to impersonate an older woman's voice. Gaulden has denied he knew this was going on. According to Gaulden's attorney, he is still in jail in Utah and no bond has been set. If he bonds out, he will be arrested and brought back to Baton Rouge. In the newsroom, Bess Casserly, WBRZ News 2.
Best.
I think that's the biggest update right there. I think that's the biggest update. Lawyer said that house arrest is not out of the question, but please remember, as you watch this video, and the takeaway from this video is that NBA YoungBoy was arrested on 63 charges in Utah, and subsequently Baton Rouge has revoked, and Baton Rouge has, number one, issued a bench warrant and an arrest warrant for NBA YoungBoy based on those charges in Utah, and they have revoked his house arrest. So if NBA YoungBoy post bail in Utah is released, he will be transported back to Baton Rouge where he will be incarcerated. Thank you guys for tuning in, and y'all have a good day. Per Time Podcast with the Blast in your ass. We'll be back for more updates.